What's going on, people? It's Mr. Do Daily back again for your weekly DoreOnTour show, Dial In with Des. If you've got anything you want to discuss about Forest, please use the link at the top of the comments, what Mr. Dore's put in there, and come on and get it off your chest. How good was yesterday? Forest are back. It was absolutely amazing. Still buzzing, still absolutely flying. Really looking forward to Everton. So if you've got anything to say about the game, the atmosphere, of course, the brilliant performance, the tactics by the magician, Stevie Cooper, or anything Forest related, transfers even. Promise not to mention Morgan Gibbs-White too much this evening. But if you want to come on, please dial in and I'll be happy to have you. Really enjoy doing this. It's absolutely brilliant. So before we get going, before I let you in on my thoughts on yesterday's game and how much I'm enjoying it, just a bit of housekeeping. If you want to get in touch, of course, please leave us a comment. That'd be absolutely amazing. I'd love you to I'd love you to come on. It'd be fantastic to have some new people as well. So don't be shy. And of course, popping up all those links across the bottom. You can get in touch either way. Social media, hashtag Dial In with Des. Subscribe to DoreOnTour. Let's get into 10,000. Really enjoy my small part in this now. But of course, the man himself works really hard at what he does. So we're trying to get him to 10,000. And of course, hit the thumbs up on this episode. That would be amazing. That would show some support for me as well. I'd not noticed till now, but I sense my voice is going a little bit, but I should get through, probably from all the singing yesterday. So really, I'll battle on just like Forest did throughout that game. And of course, if you would kindly do so, please subscribe to Do Daily. That's my channel. Dore's been so supportive in getting me up to 690. So just 10 away from 700. I'd really appreciate that. Something a little bit different to football. Just looking at ways to be positive and enthusiastic and just sort of enjoy football and all the things I do. A bit of encouragement to do activity, but it's not all about that. Just a little bit of a focus on mental health in a light-hearted way. All I do is talk about my experiences. So please get behind Do Daily. That'd be amazing. And like I say, give the thumbs up. If you'd like to donate to the channel, of course, there's a super chat. People are always kindly doing that. It takes a lot of effort for Mr. Dore to put all of this on. And of course, I'm getting involved now as well. And of course, you can become a member. I know that's much appreciated. £2.99 a month. It just helps Dore again progress and keep doing what he's doing. And as we all know, he's never off the TV these days. So he's getting somewhere finally, but it's much deserved and definitely warranted. So keep up all that great support. Just a quick comment there before I do get into the comments. 691. Now, mate, I've just subbed. Cheers, mate. How do you say that? Shadow Key. Really appreciate that. Thanks for getting behind that channel. And of course, drop on your comments about what we're discussing tonight. It'd be absolutely amazing to have as many people as we can come on. Really sort of appreciate that support as well. Just a few comments to get started before we get into the football chat. Chapo says, hey up Des, what a great Sunday. Endo, Nakata, Nico. We'll bring on Everton. Absolutely. Can't wait for Everton now. Don't want to proclaim it's a 6-pointer, but we all know where we are. We all know how important the next 3 points is. A couple of games after that are really tough, aren't they? So if you've got any thoughts on Everton, as well as yesterday's game, I'll be happy to discuss those. Joe says, good evening, Des, in chat. Evening, Joe. Thanks for coming on. Jiminy Bob, evening all. You Reds, absolutely. I think everyone I've seen today shouted you Reds in some direction, even the non-Forest fans. So absolutely love that. G-Man said, evening all. More you Reds from Natalie and John Palmer. Eve, good evening, Eve. Great to have you on again. Warren Who says, evening Des, evening chat, come on you Reds. Couple of questions I'll probably come back to at some point. Would you start the same starting 11 at Everton if injuries allow. Probably come back to that, but great question. Great food for thought, isn't it? One thing we have done since yesterday's game is sign even more players, and it looks like one or two might be coming in on top of that as well. So we're building up to that sort of strength within the squad. What Steve Cooper's always been talking about. He says we need more and more signings, and every player that come in seems to be making that little bit of a difference, don't they? And of course, we got the two that signed late on Saturday night who are still yet to play. Carter, you think he will play against Everton? Well, I tell you what, I wouldn't trust Steve Cooper when he says he's out for 6 weeks or whatever. I don't know what he said at this moment, but if he says he's out for 6 weeks, he's probably not. But we love that about Cooper, don't we, when he surprises us with a team selection. Darth Brexit says, evening, Des and the Mighty Reds. Evening. Christian says, evening, Des. And just a couple of more comments before we get into the first call. Matthew says, after just scoring, Forest have just put 40 million offering for Zaha. It's not a bad player, is it? Not a bad finish, that, considering Palace have been on the back foot for all that game. Did watch the first half and I thought, can we play Liverpool next week? They didn't look as good as they used to be. But I'm sure they'll come good. Space says, hi, Des. Hope everyone is okay and happy. Absolutely. We're all buzzing, aren't we? We're all absolutely loving it. We got 3 points. The City ground yesterday, just before I mentioned this, we all know who Jono is, but the City ground yesterday was absolutely amazing, wasn't it? It was absolutely stunning. 20 minutes to go. Nearly got me a little bit emotional. I was a little bit worse for wear, as Dore alluded to on his vlog. It was my stag do on Saturday night. So 20 minutes before kickoff, when they all went up after the West Ham fans had been singing, I thought, wow, I have never heard this. I've had a season ticket for 33 years and I've never heard the City ground like that with 20 minutes to go. So backing up what Jono says there, what a fantastic weekend. And the City ground was rocking. 3 points on the board. Saturday can't come quick enough. Absolutely not. Desperate to get to Everton. For those who don't know, I've been really, really wanting this one because I've been to every ground in the top 2 divisions following Forest. And I've never been to Everton. So I've got a ticket and I'm absolutely over the moon for it. And on that note, just give a big shout out to Malcolm for all his support as well. So, yeah, absolutely buzzing for Saturday. Can't wait. I think we can go and do it. I really do. I think we can get those points on the board and really sort of settle in. I just noticed in the second half, before I get Leon, the first guest, I just noticed in the second half there was just a sort of moment around 65 minutes where I thought Forest are growing into this Premier League. Whilst we played well at the start and we played some good attacking football and had some, without having real half chances, like Nico was putting the ball through and it was just running on a little bit. But I thought about midway through the second half, they just seemed to get that extra half a second on the ball, that confidence at the back. Worrell, McKenna, sort of holding on. Before then, it had been like a little bit like a hot potato. And I don't blame them for that. They were adjusting to the pace. But none of us could breathe for 60 minutes, it felt, because the pace of the game was so much. And that has really surprised me about the Premier League. I watch a lot of football. I understand what it's all about. But between the Championship, where you might get 2-3 seconds on the ball, and the Premier League, Newcastle was a tough game where we got nothing. Again, when we were playing on the front foot, the zipping around, the passing was absolutely incredible. And I thought the performances all over the pitch. Near Carte, he had Antonio in his back pocket, didn't he? Awoniyi showing us he's got something about him, getting that ball down, holding it up, again, fighting with their centre-backs, really sort of battling hard. Worrell and McKenna doing what they do. Nico, for me, man of the match, absolutely all over the place. Almost covered every blade of grass. I saw his touch map on Sky afterwards and there's bits of him on the left wing and all over the place. And of course, Hendo saving the penalty and a cracking save from that one that hit the underside of the bar. So whilst I think it was an amazing performance, it was fantastic, there's still a lot of work to do. I do think we're growing into the Premier League. I just thought, we rode our luck at times. We absolutely rode our luck. At times, it looked like West Ham was going to grow into the game. Well, they were growing into the game after our initial fast start, which I was definitely hoping for. We took the game to them, pegged them back, and then gradually they come out. But they never, for me, apart from the 2 chances that hit the crossbar, the penalty, I wasn't too worried about what they could do. And ultimately, they pulled off Antonio and put on Skamaka, who, whilst he's big and looks as strong, didn't really do much either, did he? So, sort of on that note, there are my thoughts on the game. I'm going to bring in Lee. Evening, Lee.
Hi, Des. How you doing, mate?
I'm good, thank you. How are you? How are you feeling today? What a Monday.
Oh, brilliant, mate. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, I think we needed that, didn't we, yesterday, just to calm the nerves and settle everyone down and get those 3 points early. And you don't want to be going, you don't want to be going 3 or 4 games into the season and like last season and not, still be looking for that first win. And especially with a couple of tough games, really tough games on the horizon. So it was good to get those 3 points, I think, quite eiarly, and plenty of positives as well. With a lot being said about all the new players that we brought in, and there was what, eight new players played yesterday. But probably the thing that impressed me the most, though, it still felt like watching last season, in the sense that they all seem to have that spirit, didn't they? That Steve Cooper's created, and that never say die sort of spirit where people are like, really, you can see they're working hard and defending for their lives, working hard for each other. And it was exactly the same last season. So that was positive as well, with all the amount of players that have come in.
Yeah, and I'm just going to put a comment up here again. I've not forgotten, but don't forget Mangala. What a beast, Mangala and O'Brien. Last week after the Newcastle game, last Monday, and on the review show on DoreOnTour, I said just O'Brien. I just felt he had to sort of get that ball away quicker. And I thought yesterday, just zipping it around, winning it back, zipping it around, getting it to the fullbacks, getting it into Lingard's feet quickly. Them two were fantastic, weren't they, in the middle? They were absolute beasts.
He looked like a totally different player yesterday, didn't he, Lewis O'Brien? Just in a week, he just looked so much more confident. And same with Harry Toffolo. I mean, I was really concerned about Toffolo, to be fair. I thought he looked a little bit out of his, I don't like to use the word, but a little bit out of his depth last week. But maybe it was just that, that's that first game back in the Premier League, and a bit of nerves and this, that, and the other, and it just, maybe it was just a bit of a wake up call. And it's because the difference in the likes of O'Brien and Toffolo was really clear to see yesterday. I thought Toffolo was excellent. And trying to pick him out of the match, you could easily have made a case for about 6 players, I think, couldn't you? That really did played their part.
More than that league, to be honest.
Yeah,
you could have probably made.
He didn't carry anyone, that's for sure.
No, I think everybody contributed. And again, what's really sort of, for me, what really sort of stood out about the performance, and I don't know if somebody was thinking I said we had a poor performance there. I just said West Ham had come into the game. So I'm just trying to find the comment. It's here. Wasn't a poor performance yesterday. Absolutely, it wasn't. It was an amazing performance. We fought hard. And for me, again, it's Steve Cooper doing what Steve Cooper does, getting that little bit more out of these players. Yes, they're still adjusting. They're still getting up with the pace of the game. 1 or 2 of them didn't perform particularly well last week. Might have dropped a level in confidence.
Stage fright, maybe.
Pardon?
Stage fright.
A little bit, but again, having a little bit more time to work with them. There's still players coming in the door. Mangala, O'Brien, working together. Colback's a massive part of this team and squad, as we know. So losing someone like that and managing to get everybody fighting for the cause, that's what Cooper does, isn't it? He gets the best out of what's put in front of him. We remember back to this time last season when we was 4 or 5 games, when he came in, it's the anniversary's in a couple of weeks, but when he came in, he had to work with what he got. He didn't have a choice of who he played. He almost had a first 11, went with it, and said, "This is what we do. This is how we go forward." Worked on how he wanted to play, got the players believing in it, and again, these new players, they're absolutely buying into it, aren't they, Lee? They're fighting for the cause and the club already.
Yeah, well, one thing you can say, I mean, like you say there, from when he came in, he kind of instantly got a reaction, didn't he, from the players he inherited? The players that came in January instantly, seemed to get on board with what was going on. I mean, could you really say any of them? Steve Cook, Sam Surridge, Keenan Davis, they none of them really took any time to settle in, did they? They seemed to get into it straight away. And the same goes for a lot of these new players. Say, looking yesterday, it had exactly the same kind of ethos as last season. Different players, but still that same sort of attitude and performance. And to play like that in that kind of heat as well. We had to do both. We kind of did both sides because the first half we were 100% the better side and deserved that goal. But then the second half we showed other sides to our character, which we're going to have to show a lot of times this season. There's going to be many times when we're having to really dig deep and grind out a result or see a result out. And we showed yesterday we can do that. And another clean sheet. How many clean sheets have we had this calendar year? It was at times yesterday. It was almost like Wembley, wasn't it? We were under pressure there in the second half, but that defence just knows what they're doing. When you throw things at them, they can deal with it. And
and I think that's a good point you make, Lee, but as well, because if you think back to the Newcastle game, as much as they dominated, as much as they really did dominate that match and pinned us in, it took a worldie.
Took a screamer, yeah.
It took an absolute worldie, which I don't think Henderson was ever going to save, or any goalkeeper. And then a bit of class, a bit of quality, in that finish. Yes, but on the other hand, both of those could have been avoided a lot earlier in the moves. So if we defend well, if we defend as we can, we've got a good unit back there. What pleased me, we all seen what Nick Carter did. Nick Carter, he ruffled up. He got turned by Antonio once at the start, and then the next time he did it was when he got injured, and Antonio was getting frustrated. And we know what a player he is, but what really pleased me was when he did go off. Do you know what a player to bring on when you need to defend? Because again, Cook was on the end of everything. He was blocking. He was in front of things. He was being Steve Cook. Roughing people.
Was really pleased to see Cook and Cafu come on. And the reception when Cook came on. He's only been with us 8 months, and he's a real cult hero, isn't he? Already, he's a player that if he was to depart in January for pastures new, he'd always be welcome back at the City Ground. He'd never have to buy a pint in Nottingham. He's a real cult hero, and I think you can tell,
isn't he? He's a proper footballer.
Yeah, you can see why the Bournemouth fans loved him so much, and he's. Even when he's not playing, you can imagine what he's going to be like in that dressing room. He's a leader, and again, that's another really important thing. I mean, not to sort of drift off a little bit too much, but you look at the problems that Manchester United have got at the moment, and there's a real lack of leadership in their squad. Now we've got Joe Worrell, the captain. You've got Steve Cook, who's a leader. You've got Jack Colback, who's a leader. Neil Carty was a captain at Mainz. Remo Freuler, captain at Atalanta. We've got a team full of leaders. And again, when the going gets tough, over the winter months and the game's coming thick and fast, to have that kind of leadership quality running throughout the squad is going to be absolutely invaluable. And
I think it's a great point again, Lee, because again, some of the players we've lost,
Henderson, another one. He looks like a leader. He's a good talker, isn't he, at the back, the keeper.
We lost Graben at the top end of the pitch. I know Colback's injured and might come back in, but Colback in midfield. So it's important that some of these players coming in kind of take that mantra and go with it. And leaders all over the pitch. We all know the most successful teams have got leaders everywhere. And again with Cooper on the sideline, sort of organising it, making them want to play for the club, believe in it. Being a proper leader. I put a tweet out yesterday after I seen what he said about the fans, who couldn't make it. That's a proper leader. that's somebody thinking, they're not.
We're all in this together, whether you're here or not. Yeah.
He's not treating fans with contempt. He's thinking about the bigger picture and everything that's going off, and that's what a true leader does. So, if he can pass some of that on to some of the players, I think of someone like Joe Worrell. Imagine him in another 2-3 years, because he's worked under this man. I'm sure he's learned a lot already. But he's going to be the type of person you pick stuff up from every day on how to deal with human beings. Forget footballers, forget fans, just how to deal with human beings.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine the likes of the Mangala who's just come in, and Awoni and Dennis, and they're walking into that dressing room and it's pre-match at the City Ground, and you've got Joe Worrell, whether they're starting or whether on the bench, you've got Joe Worrell, you've got Steve Cook, you've got Jack Colback, you've got Ryan Yates, you can have Freuler, Nick Carty, pumping everyone up. This is what this is what we've got to do. This is what it means. It's they're going to be on no uncertain terms. You've got this is what it's all about. You've got to roll your sleeves up, and you want those type of characters in the dressing room. They say there's a real lack of leadership in football. Well, we're blessed with them at the moment, and like I say, you've only got to look at what's happened with United. It's so important to have leaders in the squad, and we're lucky there, and they'll be invaluable for the season.
So to finish off, mate, the weekend, I know you're going. I think I'm part of the crew meeting you on the way. So what do you think? I know you live in that part of the world.
Yeah, I'm confident. I've been confident ever since the fixtures came out. One of my best mates is an Everton season ticket holder, and I'm actually working with him next week on for Monday for the week. And he's a passionate blue. So the banter's already been going on for weeks, and he's gone a little bit quiet. When he signed the lad from Wolves, Connor Cody, is it? Yeah, he was like, I think we've got a good chance of doing you that now this weekend. We've got this defense is looking strong, but he's gone a bit quiet since the weekend. And I think I look at the Premier League, and I think there's the top 5 is in a league of its own, sort of league title, Champions League. Then there's like another group of 5 going for the Europa League, and then I think there's a group of 10, and we're in that group of 10 with Everton. And whenever we play them, I'm going to be, I'm going to fancy us. Home or away, I'm going to fancy us. And this is one of those games where I think we're playing them just at the right time.
I do as well. The reason what gave me confidence as well, I watched the Aston Villa Everton game, and I didn't think Villa looked great either. I didn't think they looked fantastic, but they got the result against Everton. So I'm really sort of keen to get up there and see it. And as I said, my first time. Well, thanks for coming on, Lee. Really, really appreciate it.
Like it does. And I look forward to seeing you on Saturday.
See you at the weekend.
Yep. See you, mate.
Take care. That was Lee. He's all part of the DoreOnTour crew. Really, really appreciate him coming on. Some great points made there about the leadership. And if you agree with him, if you're confident that we can go to Everton and get points, please drop it in the comments. Let us know how you think that one's going to go. I'll try and get through some of these before I bring in the next guest. Just going back to David Johnson's comment, what I will say, and I did say earlier to him in a different way, but happy birthday, Jono. If you don't know, it's his birthday today. Lots of people, including this man, I don't know who he is, saying happy birthday to Jono. So, again, if you want to wish him well in the comments, I'm sure he'd really, really appreciate that. But I hope you're having a great day, mate. And what an early birthday present. It's just a pity Brennan's goal was just offside, wasn't it? But when I say that, I thought we was told that offside now was if there was daylight between them. I might have got that wrong, but I thought he'd got it. And I said 2-0 on Doors Log, so I was hoping it'd go in, but no. What a present that had been. So, again, happy birthday. Eve says happy birthday. There was a comment I put up there. Please still searching for Antonio. He got great reception, didn't he? I love that when he went off. Forest fans just showing a bit of class again, whilst the atmosphere was amazing. And at times we've been guilty of moaning and being miserable and fed up about what happens at the City Ground. It just showed a touch of class, didn't it? perhaps what happened to Taiwo when we went to Berlin and he got that send-off. We've never really done that in this country, have we? Give players send-offs. We tend to get a little bit upset, but I thought that reception he got when he walked around in front of the Bridgeford end and the A block, I thought was absolutely brilliant. And well, I know by social media he appreciated it as well. The cyber leader, West Ham United FC, mates, you guys 100% deserved it. Hopefully you beat Everton. Thanks a lot for that. It's great to hear. Humble West Ham fan. It's not always the case, is it? And we're not the most humble, so I'm not having to go at you guys. But again, we just fought for it, didn't we? And we're going to have to fight in every game. G Monkey says, plenty of quality coming in. Places are going to be fought hard for this season. Absolutely. With the names that are linked and the performances that have been put in so far, it's going to be hard work. And we might see one or two surprises at times. Comment here from Forest Ant, just backing up my appreciation to the West Ham fan. Cheers, mate. You're a gent. Hope you finish top London club. Your fans was a credit, as they always are. Just sort of question there. Perhaps come back to this as well. Would you stop Briacone? Come back to what my thoughts are on the Everton game in depth a little bit later. Comment here. This is an interesting matching up of a player. O'Brien played like Archie Gemmill, in-your-face midfielder. Well, if he's half the player he is, I'm sure we've got an absolute steal at 8-10 million or whatever it is, and we know what he did in the Championship. And his mate Toffolo was good going forward and working hard in defence. I was just looking. I was just curious about Toffolo's career, so I was reading Wikipedia today. I did realise he was at Lincoln, but I didn't realise it wasn't that long ago. So what a rise from him as well. He must be sort of pinching himself playing in an atmosphere like that at the City Ground, and a real strong performance, especially after last week when, again, it was a tough afternoon. Paul says, come on, you Reds, bring on Everton. I think the confidence is starting to build up. A lot more positive this week than it was last week. Number one here, the True Red, what a win. That will breed confidence. Already looking forward to Everton. Someone here, Lanzini, but he wasn't at his best. I think he was kept quiet, wasn't he? Tough first game for anyone at St James's Park. Absolutely. Do you know that we raved about their midfield and their attacking players last week? I'm quite amazed that they've been linked to people like Maddison. I think they've got better players there, but if they're going to back it up with someone like Maddison, that they're going to be a bit of a force this season. I'd imagine they'll be pushing sort of mid to that top 5 or 6 Lee was talking about as well. And Chapo says he's wearing number 3 for reasons, Cook. Well, we all know the number 3 shirt at Forest is a little bit special. And there's some players that probably made it a little bit less special over the last couple of years, but we won't be negative. We all remember the absolute legend, and most of the people of my generation's absolute favourite player, Psycho Stuart Pearce, of course. It looks like the Scousers have scored Liverpool goal, and then someone's backed that up with great goal. One of the things about doing this is I'm missing the Monday night football. What are you doing to me, Dore? But no, I absolutely love doing it. And Forest said not as good as Tyro's. Again, another talking point, Tyro. It was a bit of a scrappy finish, wasn't it? But they all count, and when you play well, sometimes you deserve that bit of luck. I can't help but think I'd have loved Jesse to wrap his foot around it and blast it in the bottom corner. That would have been brilliant at that end as well, wouldn't it? But it doesn't matter at the end of the day. I'm sure Jesse, Tyro don't care who scores as long as we win. I've been talking about the atmosphere. I spoke about it before the game. When we found this thing out, we went Forest magic on and off the pitch when everybody gets up. I think we've got to keep that up. Even if we go on a bit of a tricky run, mention the games against Man City and Tottenham, going to be tough, aren't they? Adds a bit of, I wouldn't say pressure, but adds a bit more importance onto Saturday's game to get points. But the next few are going to be really tough, and I think we've got to just stick with it. Keep this Forest the Magic thing going. Keep singing before the game, getting on top of it. And I think one of the things that I'll do is just sort of get everybody in the right mindset to attack. And we're all in it together. Again, what we spoke about with Steve Cooper just sort of creates that siege mentality, doesn't it? And I'm sure that's what he's trying to do. Comment here from the True Red. We got Henderson on loan. That's why Man U are bottom of the league. Got to admit, it's funny to see. Absolutely, it's hilarious, isn't it? Well, when I met up with the guys before the stag do on Saturday, we was all watching Man United in the pub and just cheering every time they went in. And the local pub where I go, the guy who owns it's actually a Man U fan, so he went and hid in the kitchen. But we won't talk about that too much. It's all about Forest. And Chapel says, happy birthday, Jono. Getting through these comments. G Monkey, 0-2 Forest on Saturday. Let's hope so. More well wishes. Peter Walsh, happy birthday, Jono. But didn't he take it well? I'm sure we're on about Tyro's goal, not anything that might have happened at Anfield. Forest Dancers, happy birthday, Jono. Just loads of comments coming in, loads of people tuning in all the time, probably turning off from the football. It's far more important to talk about Forest these days. Interesting point here again, another talking point. Ryan going to struggle to get back in. Let us know your thoughts on that if you want to come on and discuss that. I'm sure I'll be discussing things like that with Adam, the next guest. I am getting there, Adam, so thanks for the patience. Can see him smiling in the background. And a comment here from Spesh. It shows what a full week at the training ground with the coaches can do. They were all on it and no passengers. Absolutely. I just think it's time, isn't it? Time is a great healer for Forest with players and Steve Cooper. You know, we can, when he can get in there with them, get him sort of playing this game that he wants to play. You know, keep moving the ball forward. I seen an interview with Steve Cooper from, it was on Sky, I think, before the game from 10 years ago. So he was 32 and he'd not long finished playing, and just saying the things he says now, and it's something he really believes in. And again, being a leader, if you believe in something and you want other people to believe in it, you've just got to go with it and sort of be strong in passing that message on. So I thought that was really interesting as well. True Ed says here, even the Forest fans were chanting Antonio's name, which is always nice of a former player to get a proper send-off. Like I said, touch of class that. I thought that was really nice. And again, we don't have to get angry, do we, when someone leaves us? At that point, it was important to get the money for him. I was gutted. I absolutely loved Antonio at Forest, but that's football, isn't it? Des, my friend, glad to see you looking a lot brighter today. Feeling a lot brighter as well, but let's not go on about that too much, will we? I'm not drinking till the wedding now, by the way. Just putting it out there, just so I don't get hungover again. Toffolo was at Lincoln with Johnson when Johnson was on loan there and got them to League One. Again, all sort of interesting stuff that I didn't realise it was then as well. So great to see a couple of players come on from that team. What a team they had for a season or two. O'Brien, one of those Canty-like workhorses, very good. I think I think that's definitely a word for O'Brien, isn't it? Workhorse. Glenn, good evening, Glenn. Actually sat with Glenn yesterday. Feeling confident about a trip to Everton on Saturday, Des. Think we can go there and get a point at least. Hope Mangala's hammy was only cramp, don't we all? And of course, Nikate, we're not quite sure what the situation is with him. Evening, Des. Love your input here and do daily. Thanks, Lee. Really, really appreciate it. Just a reminder, if you're enjoying the show, please give it a thumbs up. Please do subscribe to DoreOnTour and please do subscribe to my channel, Do Daily. Something a little bit different. It might take a little bit getting used to, but stick with it. It's just a light-hearted way of me trying to be positive and enthusiastic, just like I am about Forest. You know, there's been times when we've all been fed up, miserable, moaning, but now we can absolutely love it. And it's a much nicer experience supporting your football club when things are good, isn't it? So, yeah, if you can get behind that, that'd be absolutely brilliant. Of course, thumbs up. As I keep saying, people keep tuning in all the time. It's absolutely great to see. If you want to come on and chat about anything, don't be shy. Just hit that link. Mr. Dore, post that link wherever you are, wherever you're watching. get it posted again so the guys can hit that and just come straight in. It's as simple as that. It's not technical. Some people have messaged me and says I'm a little bit worried. Absolutely, don't be worried. It's fine. Just get yourself on here. Another couple of comments before I just have to get to the next guest. Only one player I'm slightly worried about, Everton, Anthony Gordon, with his pace. Hopefully we'll be at Chelsea before the weekend. Totally agree, Mark. That guy looks a little bit special, doesn't he? And I'm thinking if they're putting bids in now, hopefully it'll remove him from the squad at least, even if he hasn't signed. That'd be one bonus for Forest, because you look around the rest of the team, and they're struggling, aren't they? That Calvert-Lewin's not playing. I think he's out for 6 weeks, which was a bonus when I heard that a couple of weeks ago. We know how well he leads the line and how he pulls defenders about. So I think it'll be great as well if Gordon didn't play, didn't it? But again, whoever plays, I'm sure we'll give it a best shot and give it a real go. Forest answers, I thought it was really interesting that after all the players had gone in, Joe took Endo for a walk around the whole pitch. I think they had been interviewed, hadn't they, by Sky, but again, it's just building relationships, aren't they? Showing what the club means and all the tweets afterwards from the players. I know there's a little bit of PR related to all of that, but some of the tweets, and I think it was Toffolo who tweeted 2, maybe 3 times going, wow, I still can't believe the atmosphere. And they realise they come to a big club and a special club. And when we get it right as fans, when we do our bit, we do it properly. I think that's what offended a lot of the Championship last season. Definitely offended Heckingbottom, didn't it? He lost his rag over it, and I think ultimately lost them the game. But there you go. So I think the more we keep that up, we can be that 12th man at times. I don't necessarily believe that we can make a difference too much, but it puts the players in the right mindset, doesn't it? It makes them want to play for the club, and just those really small margins sometimes really matter. Colin says, come on, you Reds, is a member. Glenn, who's also a member. So many West Ham fans have messaged me today to say that they've not been in an atmosphere like yesterday for years. So I keep promising to bring him in. I'm going to do it now before he switches off on me and goes to bed. Adam, are you all right?
How are you? Yeah, not too bad, thanks, Des. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for waiting.
Yeah, you're welcome.
What is it? What's on your mind about Forest at the minute?
I'm just still buzzing about yesterday. The atmosphere was absolutely electric, and it was even more electric because it was when we got to Wembley through the playoffs. What was interesting was, I was just looking back over the years. I know we've not played West Ham for so long. I just remembered the last time we played West Ham in any league was when we got our very first win in 2004, when we beat them 2-1 down here. And it was when Marlon King scored that winning goal. So, it's a very long time, mind you. It's a very, very long time. But other than that, it's just a turnaround from Newcastle, an absolute turnaround. A complete different team as it was against Newcastle. And it was a big learning curve as well, because, it made them realise that, they're not playing in the Championship anymore. They're playing in the best league in the world. And, it's different gravy compared to the Championship. So, it's a lot of new players, obviously, we signed, and it's again time to gel and everything. But in this league, you've got to gel really quick. And I think, judging on what I saw yesterday, quite a lot of new players who started, and it was their first home game, gelled really well. And we was by far the better side in the first half against West Ham. By far. I thought from their perspective, I thought they were quite poor. There was only one player that really stood out for me, was Sadio Benrahma. But I laughed because he was good at that to the crowd, and then his goal got disallowed due to VAR, and then we got the goal just before half time, and that talk about rubbing salt into the wounds. That just made it so much better for us. Absolutely.
And that's an interesting point you make about VAR, isn't it? That sort of enforced itself upon us yesterday, didn't it? It was
yeah.
Jono's goal was ruled out. Great finish, by the way. What a finish!
Oh, absolutely. He took it with so much confidence. He's still 20 years of age. Not many 20-year-olds in the Premier League can take that with confidence and chip it past a really good goalkeeper in Fabianski.
I thought that was important as well, because he's been a little bit quiet, hasn't he? Again, just like everybody else, just adjusting to the pace, the situation around him, and different players, and working with Nico and working with Tyro. So that slightly different sort of aspect to his game, but that's going to give him big confidence. And then after that, his performance, I thought, was fantastic.
I thought absolutely as well. Yeah, it was a bit quiet. I'd say the opening probably 15, 20 minutes, but apart from that, he soon got into the game, and that's when our players were slowly building that confidence up. And to be honest with you, our passing was a lot better than it was at Newcastle. I know we was on the back foot pretty much all game against Newcastle, but our passing improved, especially. I thought Nico Williams, some of the crosses he put in were absolutely superb. Some of them were a bit unlucky. And there was one in the first half which was a bit too far above tie where we won you. But other than that, we still got a lot of new players in there, still learning, and I could say any player was the best player on the pitch yesterday. But for me, because of improvements and everything, the two that stood out for me was Lewis O'Brien and Harry Toffolo. Coming into a brand new side, taking a step up to the Premier League as well from the Championship, as well as some of the players we had from last season. I thought they improved massively yesterday against West Ham United, and I'm really chuffed for both of them. And I'm pretty sure they had a discussion after the game, probably gave each other a pat on the back to say, "Well done, well done, Lewis. Well done, Tots." It's just what you need in the team, and now with these new signings coming in. Lee was making a good point about Fruela, who signed from Atalanta. I actually got a picture of him before he officially signed for us.
I saw that.
And so, that made it even sweeter for me. And I watched him in the Champions League. Play against big teams, and he stood out for me in that Atalanta team. So I'm really chuffed we got him in, and he'll be another great leader in the team, and that's what we want. And we've been lacking that for so many years. We're not had many good leaders over the years, but now we're not.
It's interesting that you mentioned signings, Adam, because there's a comment here. Not sure Garner's worth 14 million, but would rather pay for him than 15 on Neil Maupay. Different positions granted, but 15 million for a striker that doesn't score and fifth choice makes no sense.
I got to agree with Dino on that, because I'm looking at yesterday. We didn't really have nobody who could come on to replace Lingard, because we need that number 10 player. And Garner proved that last season. I know he started off in like a centre midfield, defensive midfielder role, like a box to box, but then Cooper started playing him like a number 10 more in the second half of the season.
I thought he was brilliant with Davis when he played number 10.
Absolutely. And I think we should get Garner back, just for that position, to give Lingard some competition. And of course, he knows Lingard from Manchester United, so it makes complete sense if we bring James Garner in, bid that 15 million for him, or we just push it to 17 and a half, something like that. And that's what I noticed that yesterday. We was missing that, and I look Cafu, and I know you do, of course, but he's not a number 10. He's more that gritty midfielder who can close games off, if you know what I mean. So for me, we need that number 10, definitely. That's a big priority. And I think once we get that number 10 in, which I hope it's James Garner, let's forget about MGW now. Wolves are asking too much for him.
You can. What about Maupay? Again, another interesting. He's got Premier League experience. He scored goals in the past. Gone a little bit dry, and he played. The thing is with Maupay for me, and I know he could have made a difference, but he was in a Brighton team where nobody scored. They went on like these runs where they didn't score, and it looked like they were going to really struggle. Then they come out of it. So I don't know. I just look at it and I think he's done it before. And again, if Cooper wants him, it's an interesting one that we're going for somebody who's played a lot of Premiership football.
And let's not forget as well, he played for Brentford in the Championship as well. So, and Brentford didn't even play in the Premier League at the time when Malpay was playing for him. So he did take that step up. And, it's interesting you said that it was around the Brighton team at the time that didn't really get anywhere. But I've watched him, even when he was at Brentford, I know he scored quite a lot of goals, but there were occasions where it was a bit hot and cold in games. But, they're not going to be consistent every game. As long as they're consistent 3/4 of the time, then that's enough, really. But he'll be a good signing. He's got that strength in depth. But I think once he comes in, I think Lyle Taylor will be definitely gone, 100%. I'm not sure about Surridge. Maybe if it depends if Surridge, fights for his place, he may get in the team again. But if not, Cooper might think in January that he might just loan him out, to a Championship side. As much as I don't want him to, but it just depends on how Dennis gets on and how if Malpay does come in, as well as if Awoniyi's, firing on all cylinders by then. So, I love Surridge. I've always loved Sam Surridge. Always means business. That's what I love about him. He's not one of these who begs a lot of attention and stuff like that. But he just means business. He's always got his game face on. He's always willing to do his best, and he's so clinical. And I've not seen a guy who's such a good, I've not seen a guy at Forest for so many years that can curl the ball like Surridge does. Every time he has a shot on goal, he just has that curl on him. It's just so beautiful to watch. And it always goes in either the top left-hand corner or the top right-hand corner. And it's just a thing of beauty.
He's a great finisher, isn't he?
Absolutely.
Just before we come on to the Everton game, just a reminder there's a link if you want to come on. Like I keep saying, don't be shy, get involved, be positive about what's going on at the City Ground. It's not every day you get to talk about such an amazing occasion like that. And I'm sure we're going to have a moment when it's not quite so good. So please do come on, hit that link, of course, hit like. Just going to read another couple of comments before I ask Adam about Everton, because there's a couple of comments in here about that game in particular. Dino says, get 3 points at Everton, be a fab start to the season. Spurs and City games will be a free hit. In many ways, we possibly got to look at it like that, haven't we? 692, Des, thanks for the subscription to Do Daily. Of course, please subscribe to DoreOnTour and Do Daily if you enjoy your Forest content and enjoy Forest fans doing something a little bit different. Comment about Man United are rubbish at business. They are pushing and trying their luck with that fee. Well, perhaps they were, but every bit of Henderson at the minute looks worth 20 million to me. So I totally agree with the sentiment of what you said there, Nick. But hopefully we can sign him up, and especially if we stay up. Bring on Everton, come on you Reds. Just Derek's in, people. What's this one? Nick says Mina is out for 8 weeks with an ankle injury for Everton. It's not looking good for them, is it? And
that's even better because he's good in that midfield as well.
And a certain Mr. Lampard as well, who used to manage a crowd down the road. So someone we're not a massive fan of. Just backing up Adam's point here, Harold says Garner not always consistent in the Championship. So, well, he wasn't backing up Adam's point. He was totally disagreeing. Garner not always consistent in the Championship. So what about the Premiership? 12 at most, add on 3. I thought he was really, really consistent when he grew into it. He had a tough start to last season. A lot was on his shoulders. We were pinning all our hopes on him after a great finish to the season before. And I think once he got in the team, and like me and Adam both said, when he got to number 10, he looked absolutely fantastic. With Garner, I think his dips in form were down to not knowing his future and being messed about by United. Again, it's another way of looking at it. I don't think there were many dips towards the end. There was a couple of games. I've said this on DoreOnTour a few times. I saw an highlights reel of the Blackpool game. We won 4-1, and obviously Jono scored the hat-trick. And none of the limelight was on Garner. He didn't assist. He didn't score a goal. But there was a highlights reel for about 4 minutes. It was a Man U scouting YouTube channel, and it's showing you every single touch. And he was heading it, he was clearing it, he was blocking things. And you kind of forgot that side to his game. Nobody mentioned him in the man of the match talk. But what a performance! It's shown you. I can't remember how many touches, 30 touches maybe, but every single touch meant something in terms of the play. And again, that's the kind of job that goes a little bit unnoticed when Jono's scoring a hat trick, or those kind of players are the ones who rightly so get the plaudits. But I don't think his form dropped too much, in my opinion. Just one or two more before we get into this Everton game. Lee says, think Brennan will grow into the season as he did last season in his first in the Championship. Didn't score first goal until 5 games in, then just got better and better. Same again, I'm sure. Exactly what I was saying, wasn't it? That nice finish, even though it was ruled out, I think will be a great little confidence boost and just get him firing again. Next time he's in that position.
I think Des. I think he's already there with his confidence. It proven so when even it got disallowed. I think his confidence is already there. To tell you the truth, I know he's obviously he's been quiet, majority of the time, but that's understandable because it's only the start of the Premier League. But going back to Everton, just going back to James Garner, he didn't start off that well, because it was under Chris Hughton, and Chris Hughton didn't really have a clue what today's football was like, and how you treat your players, and like Joe Worrell, was kind of referring to him in the playoff final with Sky Sports, about how you treat a dog and kindness, and like Steve Cooper's done with our players, and Chris Hughton never did that, I knew something wasn't right, it was that time where Garner looked like fed up, and he looked like he was regretting moving here on loan. But you know what? Since Cooper came in, he completely changed him, and and saw something in him that Houghton didn't, and start playing him in that number 10. And I think I think Garner, because now he's in the Premier League, and if we buy him as well, his confidence is going to grow even more, because especially when it comes to the Manchester United game, when he plays against his former club, he will want to shove it down their throats big time. And the problem is with Man United, there's too many egos in that dressing room. Ronaldo has always had a big ego anyway, as much as I respect him and loved him as a player, but he's got such a big ego, and you don't want that in your dressing room whatsoever.
Absolutely. There's a comment here about Garner as well. Wanting Garner is a sentimental decision. I think this team has moved on. Can't see Garner getting in above O'Brien and Mangala, but that's why we need a squad, isn't it? Perhaps in many ways it is a sentimental decision, but he's still a fantastic footballer. If we'd have had the choice at the end of last season before we knew the options we might be looking at, we'd have snapped the hand off, wouldn't we?
Yeah, exactly. And Garner's that number. He can play in that number 10. So we need to give Lingard some competition, really, because we didn't have that on Sunday. There was no one to come on to replace Jesse Lingard. So, we had to have that little bit of competition for him. And,
I think a lot of people's thing, Adam, is this guy, and I don't even know how to say his name. And I'm not even going to try because I've no idea. But the Algerian guy that we're linked with, people are now seeing him as a better option. I'll be honest, I tend to say this quite a lot here. I've not seen him that much. I watch a lot of football, but I've not seen him that much. And everybody who comes on here is raving about him. I refuse to look at YouTube clips. I absolutely refuse.
No, I don't watch him. I did watch him in the Europa League for Lyon a couple of times, and I watched him Champions. I think they've been in Champions League quite past few years, but I've definitely seen him in the Europa League, and he looks really good. He does stand out in that midfield, but it just depends on what Cooper wants, And if I'd be happy with either player, to tell you the truth, coming in. But I think Ioa is not really, as far as I know, he's not really a number 10. He's more of a centre midfielder. I may be mistaken. It might be just based on what I've only seen him watch a couple of times. So I may be wrong. But, I think, I'd be happy with either of those players. I'm sure a lot of Forest
Well,
fans will be.
on that, I think this is the ideal one as well. And we've played past them. We're signing everybody, so we may as well sign them both. Let's not have either or. Let's just have both.
We'll be running out of bits by the time we're done.
On the Maupay thing, it's a very good finish. You did it for Brentford, and as you say, there's Brighton have had the times where they already score. And it's not just that. We look back at Sam Surridge, don't we? Everybody's questioning his goal scoring record, Keenan Davis. And then they come to Forest and they're playing a different way and they're playing a different formation. And it worked for them. So again, whoever we sign, I'm sure is going to be a horse for a course, selected to work within the system. We know that's the way it works. Somebody here saying Maupay is two levels above Surridge. Well, if he is, he's a bloody good player then, isn't he? Because whilst Surridge is what he is, I think he's brilliant at having somebody around the squad to come on, or work hard in away games, because that's the type of player he is. He runs his socks off, runs himself into the ground, and when a chance is created for him, he tends to stick it away. There was the one at Newcastle. It was a tough header, but I think back to, and I know it's different opposition, but I think back to the Peterborough game last season, and one chance in that game again stuck it away, and that's what you're getting from Surridge. So if you're looking at somebody and saying they're a finisher, but they don't do this and they don't do that, well, we know that kind of player works for Forest because it works with Surridge, and that's my point there. Crypto Rider says we should beat Everton, whilst on the other hand, Derek says Everton will be no pushovers. I don't think anybody in the Premier League is actually going to be a pushover. As much as we can be confident, I think it's all cautious optimism. It's a word I use quite a lot in here. So, going to a place like Goodison, it's going to be in your face. I've never been there, but again, I've seen it on television. It's a loud, in-your-face type place, almost like what we're trying to create at the City Ground. Getting behind the team, and when they are doing well, they really do get behind them. So it's definitely not going to be a walkover, but we've got every reason to be confident as well going into it, haven't we? Yeah, this guy says, hit the like button, guys. Yes, please hit the like button. Over 100 people in watching. Really, really appreciate that. Gordon says, no room for sentimentality. What, not even once? We've let the rest go. We've got over the lone players we fell in love with last season. Here's an interesting one. Arsenal tried to sign Aoya. I tried it last season for 57.
Yeah, I saw that last season on the news. Yeah, I saw they made a massive bid for him. But if we get him for what, between 17 20 mil, that's an absolute steal, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, this is a nice comment towards the end of the show.
1-1.
Palace were ahead of Liverpool, Manchester United, and Everton, and Palace.
I'm surprised Palace got a point, to tell you the truth, but there you go. It's football.
So again, it just shows, and I think that's going to tell us a lot more about Crystal Palace, isn't it? Crystal Palace, like West Ham, you might think these are winnable, and they are winnable if you do what you need to do, if you play up to it, you can get a result. A comment here from Gordon, that's Peterborough, Des. I did say that. I did say it was Peterborough, but you've still got to be on the end of chances to stick them in. Yeah, more paid to be 10 for Dennis. That's one player we've not mentioned, isn't it? Dennis, we've not spoke about him. If I'm honest, the first time I really watched him and made a point of watching him was a couple of games on TV this season for Watford. Looked really good against Sheffield United. Really like the look of what he did in that game. Did think he tend to drift off from being a target man like Tyro. He tend to sort of drop back and drop onto the wings. Perhaps in a not the same player, not the same sort of target man, but picked up similar positions that Keenan did at times, and did a bit with the ball in sort of creating chances for Sarr, who himself has been linked with a big move, hasn't he? So what are your thoughts on What are your thoughts on Dennis? Are you happy with that one?
I'm very happy with Emmanuel Dennis. He's got bags of pace. He did well for a struggling Watford team last season. That's what we have to remember as well. So I watched him. I was watching the Premier League week in, week out, even when he was in the Championship. So I watched him for a struggling Watford team, and he looked really impressive. He was getting them goals, despite things not going their way. And I'm pretty sure he played in the Premier League before with Aston Villa. I'm sure he did, but I may be wrong. But anyway, but the point is, he's a fantastic player in my opinion, and he's got bags of pace. Obviously, different to Iwanyi, not so much a target man, the physical presence, obviously, and but he'll be an absolute asset to the team. He really will be, and it's just a matter of time when he gets that start and gets the service, and who knows, he could get maybe at least a dozen goals, maybe 15. You just don't know. I hope he gets off to the best of starts, honestly, and then that's what we want. Like Ant says, we want strikers to scare defenders, and I think we got that already as well. But it's just add that little bit of extra to scare defenders off. So yeah, 100%. I'm very happy with Emmanuel Dennis, and I'm also happy with Chiarte as well. Plenty of experience at Palace in the Premier League. I thought I'd just give him a mention as well. Um, happy with that signing. That's what we want. A bit of, in that respect, a bit of veteran midfielder. To help the youngsters out a bit of the team as well. And that's what Forest are good at nowadays. And Cooper, he's got it together, and he just wants that to happen. Really, it's a bit like what Norwich used to do a few years ago, but we've done it 10 times better, in my opinion. They mixed experience with youngsters, and it worked. But they just obviously not like us. Haven't got the money. They're not as stable as we are, and no disrespect to them, they aren't. But that's just a point where it's mixing the youngsters with experience, and those experienced players like Steve Cook, Chiarte, all these players have got in the team, and I know even Lyle Taylor. I know for me, I don't think he's going to really cut it in the Prem, but he's going to give these youngsters some nice good advice, and that's what you want. Even Lingard, he'll give these youngsters really good advice on how to get better, how to progress, and everything else. And it was going back to last season when Grabban was kind of training up Keenan Davis and training with his shooting and everything. It's having that experience in your team. Having some mentors in the team as well as the head coach as well, and that's what you want. And that's exactly what Forest are doing at the minute. And yeah, I'm happy with every signing we've made so far, and it's just getting that team together, and we did what we had to do, and to recover from all those players we've lost.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think I'm really looking forward to seeing Dennis. I think he might find his way onto the bench on Saturday. Really looking forward to that game, of course, but he probably doesn't need as much time as some of the others do to build up or to fit in, because he's played a couple of games this season already, kind of hit the ground running, so in terms of his performances at least. So really looking forward to seeing him. But Saturday, Adam, what do you expect? What's going to happen?
Well, I said this before even the season started, and I don't try and jinx anything, but I just don't think Lampard's a good manager at all. I'm not saying this because he used to manage Derby. He did a fairly good job for him, just didn't get the foot over the line, thank goodness. But I just don't think he's a good manager at all. I think he'd be good, like a good coach as part of the coaching staff, in the team. Bit like what, what's his name? I've got thinking now. What's his name? Ex-Swansea player, Alan Tate.
Oh,
Yeah, a bit like Alan Tate. You know what I mean? He'd be good part of the coaching staff for me. Like I've got utmost respect for Frank Lampard, what he accomplished, but that was his playing days. This is a total different time. And, you know, I think when we're going to Goodison Park, I think we're going to hit them where it hurts. I really do. And I think we're going to beat them 3-0 and get a clean sheet.
Wow, that's a bold prediction, isn't it? So hopefully it's a good prediction. Really in for a good afternoon if that's the case. So thanks for coming on, mate. Really appreciate
You're welcome.
You tonight. Looking forward to seeing you at the match. So stick with it.
Absolutely. Up you Reds. Come on.
Cheers, Adam.
Cheers.
Thanks to Adam. Lots of great points there on different subjects. Still chance to come in. I'll let you know my thoughts. If anybody else wants to come on, please do pop on. Check that link at the top of the chat. It's really easy. Just come on and say what you think about Forest. Just looking at some of the comments about the things we spoke about. Everton will score. We need to go there, get quite a few goals. Crowd will be behind them to winners. And just like Adam said, we'd get 3, so I'm taking that. Perhaps not, but who knows? What I will say, I do think we can go and give them a really good game. I don't think, like Adam, and again, not just because he managed at Derby, but I don't think Lampard is quite cut out for management. I think he'd probably be a great coach working with players, but the tactical side of it's just not there. When he was at Derby, they were drifting and they managed to just turn it around and get into the playoffs. And then a big performance against Leeds. But since then, has he really warranted a job at Chelsea and a stab at Everton? So I can't see them having a particularly great season, and everything seems to be conspiring against them as well in terms of injuries. Some of the guys here have said that. So I think we can go there. I think we can do it. I think we can take the game to them again. I think it's crucial this season for Forest to sort of hit them on the front foot, get going sort of early like we did against West Ham. It was really important yesterday to get them on the back foot, pen them in a little bit, take some of the pressure off. And then as they grow into the game, we're up with the pace. We're in it. The strikers are buzzing around. Their defence had something to worry about, think of. The ball's getting played in by Nico and Tyro just sort of missing out the end of it. It meant that they had to sort of build up slowly rather than at Newcastle where they threw the kitchen sink at us from the off. Us starting on the front foot, taking it to them at home, I think proved really important in the end. We was always going to take a bit of pressure. That was obvious. It's the Premier League. There's no easy games. So it was such a massive day. A comment coming in here from someone we know, somebody I'm sure is going to be up for the game on Saturday. Massive Everton and Forest fan. Super Kev. Hi, Des. Great to see Forest secure 3 points. Home form is key and the fans will need to be vocal and boisterous yesterday in every game. Absolutely, Kev. That's what I've been saying all the way through. The fans have really got to stick with it. We've got to make it like that every single week. Make it a place where get inside the away team's head before they even get here. When we're singing before they come out, we see it a lot in Europe and on the continent where the fans are in there for hours before. I'm not quite saying let's go that far just yet, but as I said earlier, we tend to get in the head of some sides in the Championship. Let's get about the Premiership. They're all saying we're getting a bit big for our boots, so let's just give it to them. I've said for too long as fans, as a club, Forest are too nice. So it's so important that we go to places, and just stamp our authority on it. Let them know who Nottingham Forest are again. That we're not here to make up the numbers. That we're here to absolutely give it a go and give it our best shot. The players did their bit yesterday. The fans got behind them. When it works together like that, there's nothing quite like it. As a biased, totally biased Forest fan, there is nothing like it. We know there's not. We've been to too many grounds. I heard the Crystal Palace fans singing in the first half. Is this a library? If we're making waves like this and fans are talking about us, all the media was talking about McIntyre, how it's going to be. So my sort of plea tonight is just keep doing that, guys. Keep doing it. And Super Kev says the same. And if he speaks, we all have to listen, don't we? We've got to be boisterous and noisy, and especially at Goodison Park, when Kev might not quite be so happy for the 3 points, but we'll still take them anyway. I'm sure he'll enjoy the fact that it's us that got them. Couple of comments here. Forest above Liverpool and Man United. Forest are magic. Absolutely magic. Kevin Campbell, hello mate, great to see you here, Kev. He's always supported Mr. Dore and myself. Fantastic, Kev. He still keeps in touch with everything going on at Forest. And we all remember the Premier League, don't we, last time, and how it went massively wrong because we lost Kev. And we can't forget that, you know, absolutely brilliant in that season in the Championship, and we would have stayed up, but that was a different time. It's been 23 years. We've got another stab at it with a new generation, and as you saw yesterday, they're doing absolutely amazing. Gordon, yes, KC need 8 wins at home. When you kind of say it like that, it sounds doable, doesn't it? You start thinking of the teams that where there's potentially 3 points available: Bournemouth, Fulham, Everton, Villa, Leeds, Southampton. You know, it sounds absolutely doable. So with 1 on the board, you know, it's a big way there. 3 points in the Premier League. Let's not make no bones about it. It's massive, and especially when you consider Derby got 11. I know, all jokes aside, because that is absolutely pathetic, but we've already got a quarter of those points. So it just shows that 3 points is huge. And I think I was having a conversation with Kev at some point. You could be 5 points off safety. And if you get 3 points and the other team lose because they're struggling as well, that's 2 points. That sort of twists things around, and the momentum starts building. We spoke about teams like Brighton who go through patches of like spells where they don't score, but they always survive. Burnley have done it for years and seem to get beat every week, but survive. And I think it's going to be important in those games where we are likely to get we'll get beat at times, and we'll get probably a good hiding at times as well. That's the way the Premier League is. Good teams get beat 6-0. So when it happens, we just have to stick with it, you know, keep going, get ourselves on top form for these big, important, again, not really wanting to use the word 6-pointers, but at this point in the journey where we're at, they're 6-pointers, aren't they? Because we have to take every point we can. I'm not conceding to Man City or Everton or Tottenham, but they are going to be tough. We've seen the level they're at already. It's absolutely bonkers. You know, Erling Haaland, the performance he put in at West Ham, and you look at the game yesterday, the Tottenham-Chelsea game, absolutely incredible. The pace of it. I spoke about the pace at the Forest game. You know, you couldn't take your eyes off it. I felt out of breath as a Forest fan. That Tottenham and Chelsea game was another level again. So we're gonna face some tough times, but it's important that we stick with it. Like Kev says, get right behind the team, give it a real good go. And when we come up against opposition where it's possible, you know, it's even more important, isn't it? We're not just here for the big games. We're here because it's Nottingham Forest and we're a big club, and that's what I feel is most important. Got another guest coming on, just popped in. Nottingham Forest and we're a big club. Are you there?
Hey, mate, you all right?
I am. What's on your mind about Forest at the weekend?
Oh, fantastic, wasn't it? Wonderful day.
Absolutely.
Met up with you guys beforehand. That was fantastic. Walked to the ground, the atmosphere, the chills when Muller can tire. Fantastic. The performance, fantastic. No complaints.
And who stood out for you?
Lewis O'Brien.
Was he your man of the match?
Yeah. I think he's a wonderful football player. Close control, can turn on the ball, can run with the ball, can pass the ball. A real £10 million. Fantastic. And Mangala as well. I thought Mangala was excellent as well. And that midfield is so important, isn't it?
I thought it was, because at Newcastle, again, I didn't want to be critical. I said last week it was all relative to the first game of the season, tough opponents, getting into the Premier League. I just felt O'Brien just kind of hung on to the ball a little bit. He did the nice stuff in winning the ball back, but his distribution weren't quite there. He didn't realise the amount of time he wouldn't have on the ball. And this week, he seemed to learn very quickly,
Precisely. It's a learning curve, isn't it? I mean, I looked at that first game of Newcastle, to be honest, as an extension of pre-season. You're going away to literally the form club in that division at home. Them and Manchester United, Manchester City and Liverpool were the three best teams at home in the latter half of the season. And it was all new. It was a new team. And the way that they've gelled since then is an incredible testament to Steve Cooper and the coaching staff, because those players look like they could play together.
And that was my point earlier. And I said the most striking thing was with me is how it's gelled. Everybody's been saying this thing about time. We need time. We need this. But do we? We've got the master tactician. We've got the genius. I
was worried, Des. I was worried because of the amount of players and the relatively short amount of time. But then we have to remember we've got Steve Cooper.
Absolutely, and this is what he does. When teams are writing us off, we churn out games. I think Adam made the point that how many clean sheets have we kept? I made the point in response that even at Newcastle, on another day, it would have been tough. Don't get me wrong, but on another day, we could have kept a clean sheet there. We could have.
It was a world-class goal that they scored for the first goal. I mean, that can happen any time to anybody, can't it?
Yeah, we could have been battered for 90 minutes and come away with something. And again, it boils down to that thing. And I think there's just a comment there. And I was just about to say this, but seeing the comment, every point is crucial. Kev said exactly the same. I raised the comment while she was talking, and I'm buzzing about how we play defensively and how incredible Dino is between the sticks. They helped convert the 3 points yesterday as much as the attackers. Absolutely. I think I would have given everybody straight 8s. Every single player. I would have given 8s because I don't think you could pick out. Whilst we've mentioned some, we've mentioned O'Brien, we've mentioned Mangala, we've mentioned Tyro, we've mentioned Niakate,
Toffolo, brilliant.
There was
Nico Williams. There were two players that I was really, like a lot of Forest fans, really disappointed to see leave us, and that was Brees and Jed Spence. The replacements are better. I think Nico Williams is a better player than Jed Spence. I think his defensively he's better. I think his crossing's better. I just think he's a better player. I think he's a more intelligent player. And I was really downbeat when Jed went to Tottenham. And Brees, I mean, we all love Brees, but Henderson, wow.
Well, the thing I've been complaining about for so long, just another mention there for Dean Henderson, absolutely right up there with man of the match. The saves were equally as important. But just another point on what I've been saying over the years is we sign all these players who just aren't good enough to compete. The Silvers and Bong and players who just can't. Jenkinson, Arter, wasting a lot of money.
Stop it.
And all I've been keen for Forest to do is sign players that are better than what we've got. And you said it yourself there, Dean Henderson, Nico Williams, Lewis O'Brien. I love Colback. I absolutely loved him. I think in the Championship, he was, if we'd have had him in midfield, we'd have got top 2. I really believe that.
Yeah.
If we had Max Lowe at left back and Colback in midfield, I genuinely believe the way he sort of could dominate a game and get about people and upset things and pop up on the edge of the box with a goal here and there. I think we would have been top 2. But O'Brien, for me now, is probably the future. And again, it's not about signing players that are just going to come along and necessarily fight for a position and one game they'll get in. And like a Zinkernagel last season, and like he might play, he might not play. Now it's all players who are better. Every signing seems to be raising that bar a little bit.
It's incredible. It's incredible, isn't it? I mean, Niakate went off yesterday, and first of all, I thought, oh no. And then I saw Steve Cook come on. I thought, no problem. You know, we've got
Absolutely.
strength in depth, and it's getting stronger by the minute. And I think it's pronounced Awar, I think. And he is a real quality football player. I mean, he had a quiet season last year with Lyon, but I think that's because he was unsettled. Because Arsenal, we're talking, they tried to get him, and Lyon are quite difficult to deal with, and they wanted like 60 million, and Arsenal wanted 50 million, and now they're on about 12 million plus add-ons. He may not come because, as I was saying earlier, he's not a Nottingham Forest fan. He's a quality player, and he's perhaps thinking, well, yeah, let me just wait a week or two just to see if anybody, a bit more higher up comes in for him. And I don't think he should be sort of slated for that because...
Yeah, but the one thing we know is that we've got people at the club who won't mess about. So if they think he's not committed, if they think he's not committed, they won't go for it. I'm pretty sure of that. I'm pretty sure the owner, the
thing is, I don't know about you, Des, but I've got this ridiculous, unwavering and complete faith in Steve Cooper. So I kind of feel that if a player comes in, he's the right player and with the right attitude. Emmanuel Dennis, he's got a bit of a reputation of being sometimes a bit of a unsettling. What's the word? He unsettles the dressing room sometime. I don't think he will at Forest.
No, I don't think he'll be allowed.
Steve Cooper knows how to handle footballers, doesn't he?
Absolutely. Well, thanks for coming on, mate. I really appreciate you coming on this late.
Can I just say one more thing? I always have to say one more thing.
Go on, then.
When I first heard the links with Neil Maupay, I was very dubious about it. But again, I have faith in Cooper, and I think that Cooper will get the best out of him if he does come.
Absolutely. Again, it all boils down to the faith we've got in the manager, isn't it? We saw this cliche churned out week in, week out on Twitter and everywhere on social media. In Cooper, we trust. Well, let's prove it. Let's prove it. So when the going gets tough, when he's signing players, or if he's signing who he wants to have, let's get behind him. When the going gets tough, when we get beat in 1 or 2 games, let's prove it. I mentioned being classy with Antonio. Let's be classy and get behind the manager and really get behind him. Because he's given us such success in such a short space of time. It's important that we see this one through and make sure we don't lose him unnecessarily.
Absolutely. And I think that tonight's result, Liverpool versus Palace, proves what a tough league this is. And so if we go and lose to Newcastle, that doesn't mean we're a crap team. It's a tough league, and Palace can go to Liverpool and draw. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So
every game we've got to realise this is the Premier League, baby.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for coming on, mate. I appreciate you coming on and supporting as ever. Absolutely brilliant, and I'm sure we'll see you soon.
Yeah, nice to talk to you, Des.
Take care, mate.
Take care, mate.
So that was Ant. Really sort of appreciate his views there. And of course, a lot's been said about a lot of things on tonight's show through DoreOnTour throughout the week, at the match, But again, we've got the best man for the job, haven't we? I'm sure we all agree on that one and firmly believe it. It's so important. And comment here from local shopkeeper. Which shop? We're 10 in the Premier League at the moment. I don't care if we're 2 games in. I beeping love it. You heads, absolutely. What is interesting about the comments is every time I mention a player or one of the guests mentions a player playing well, somebody comes up and goes, but what about O'Brien? What about Nico? What about Dino? We've not forgot about them. We just realised we're just talking about how good everybody was. And that's great, isn't it, as a football fan? If everybody's got a different opinion on man of the match, it's really, really, it really bodes well, doesn't it, going in? And especially with all these players coming in. As much as I'd like to think they're better than what we've already got, and some of them are going to get straight into the team, it's important that there is competition. There's a squad. We all know Stevie Cooper likes to work with 20 players. He's made no bones about that. I think ultimately we'll see a couple of players who we know aren't really going to play, but they're going to get some good, valuable experience. There's a couple of young lads around the team. Me personally, I'm really looking forward to seeing how Dale Taylor develops this season. When I've said that before, people have said to me, he's got to go in the under 23s first. Why is he? You know, I think there might be one or two spots for people like that. Of course, is it Hammond who plays in the number 10 role, and the left back looks quite decent as well. So I think working with players like that, being around, and Andy Reid's input as well into the first team, that's all gonna bode well. I think we're gonna have a strong squad of 20. You know, when this window shuts and all these crazy rumours stop, I think it's gonna be time to sort of bed down and really get behind it. And once they all do settle, you know, I think I'm not contradicting myself. I said a few moments ago, I think they are settling. I don't think there's going to be a massive settling in period, but we all know game on game. I said right at the start that this feed, there was a point in the second half where it almost, in my head, the team started to believe that they were Premier League. You know, they probably did anyway, but having to adjust, having to take the pressure that West Ham gave them in the second half. I think halfway through, when they'd soaked it up, the confidence came, and it did give them that split second longer on the ball, and then it looked like we might go on and get a second, and we kind of managed the game out really well, I felt, after that initial period. The penalty, once the penalty was saved, I thought we was winning that game regardless. Even if West Ham had scored then, I think we'd have gone on and scored again, and I think it was really crucial that happened. So let's forget about this big transition period, and again, we know how quickly this manager turns it around. He did it this time last season with a team that was pathetic, absolutely pathetic. You know, some of the players were the ones playing. He turned their careers around. He's turned their lives upside down by making them Premier League players. And I think that's the positivity that we're gonna leave on this week, because again, all we're trying to do is be absolutely buzzing about what we've got, the fact we're in the Premier League. You know, everybody's feeling great for it. You go to the City Ground, it's a whole new experience. I've watched football for 33 years at Forest. I've never seen it this good. 23 years ago, we was in the Premier League, you know, and it wasn't the same. It wasn't like it is now. It's a show, you know. It's an absolute sort of, it's theatre. It's exciting. It's 100 miles an hour. And as the song says, I just can't get enough. Didn't mean to sort of reel that out, but the reality is, just can't get enough of it at the moment. There's so much going on, so much to talk about. Of course, I'll be back with Dialing with Des next week. It's going to be a weekly dialing show. Please get on board, support what we're doing here, get behind it. Of course, Dore will be back throughout the week discussing Everton, previewing that. He'll have an Everton fan on, and then he'll have his review shows and his vlogs. Check out the vlog from yesterday. Absolutely brilliant. You know, yours truly made an appearance or two, and it was taking the mick out of me, but seems to be the way with these things. Really, really enjoy what we're doing. Talking about Forest, I could do it for hours. Already done it for another 90 minutes. So as long as a football match. Thank you to everybody that's watched. I really, really appreciate the support. The comments, so tricky to keep up with because there's so many that want to comment. But please get yourself on it. It'd be absolutely amazing if you could join us. Hit the like button. Do it now. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe to DoreOnTour. It costs absolutely nothing to get behind a fellow Forest fan and support the fantastic work he's done. He's been on a journey himself through Forest turnaround in fortunes, and it's all coming good for him now. So get behind DoreOnTour, and if you can, when we finish, please pop over to Do Daily. Just search it, all one word. I'd really appreciate you coming on just to sort of support what I do as well. It's absolutely brilliant. Thanks for all the nice comments. Really, really appreciate those. So, until Everton, up the Forest, as Mr. Dore would say himself. See you next week. What am I doing?